gunfire in Beirut today wasn't an attack. It was PLO guerrillas firing in celebration as they left Lebanon. Then, quietly, 400 PLO fighters sailed for Cyprus.
This is NBC Nightly News. Reporting from New York, Jessica Savage.
Good evening. 11 weeks after the Israelis marched into Lebanon, the Palestine Liberation Organization began leaving Beirut. Some 400 PLO guerrillas sailed to Cyprus today, ultimate destination Jordan and Iraq. The complete evacuation of the PLO from Beirut is slated to take 14 days. That, according to a U.S. negotiated agreement. Now, Israel is calling the evacuation a military victory over the PLO, and the PLO claims theirs is a political victory over Israel. Tonight, we have 3 reports on the evacuation, beginning with Vic Aiken in Beirut.
The French troop carrier Dive, escorted by an Israeli gunboat, eased down the Lebanese coast just as dawn broke. At the port of Beirut, Foreign Legion paratroopers and infantry lined the rails as the ship berthed. This elite unit then disembarked, carrying their full field packs and weapons. Once off the ship, they got right down to business. A platoon moved into a pro-Syrian guerrilla position in the old city next to the port. Their job, to be a buffer between the Israelis and their allies, and the Palestinians and their allies. The French also took over from Israeli troops who have held part of the port for more than a month. The Lebanese army sent in some officers to assist the changeover, and at times, there was just a little confusion.
Our troops are not here. I'm only making the coordination with the French army. That's all.
But basically, the whole operation went quickly and smoothly, with Israeli armored units moving back into East Beirut proper. These French troops will be joined by 500 Italians and 800 U.S. Marines next week, when the major part of the evacuation of PLO fighters will take place. Vic Aiken, NBC News, West Beirut.
The first 450 Palestinians to leave gathered this morning at the municipal stadium. It was there that goodbyes were said and some tears were shed. And as the trucks moved out, the celebration began. The Palestinians believe they have beaten the Israelis politically and perhaps militarily as well. To the noise of shooting in the air, the convoy moved for a half hour into the port area. And there, the shooting only intensified. And then finally off into what is for them unknown territory, the port area controlled until this morning by the Israelis. From there, under the eyes of the French, aboard a ferry boat for Cyprus. That pattern of departures for the PLO should continue for the next several days, along with the noise. Steve Delaney, NBC News, West Beirut.
They were given. But there were no crowds of curious onlookers, just a few Israeli army officers. It was a moment many Israelis had been waiting for, and Defense Minister Ariel Sharon was in East Beirut, calling the evacuation a victory over terrorism. Sharon rejected criticism of Israel for the cost of that victory in terms of Lebanese civilian casualties.
No one in the world can come to us and preach to us about humanity or about attitude toward human life. We can teach the rest of the world about it.
In the square of the Christian Martyrs in East Beirut, a group of women whose relatives were killed by the PLO or its allies held a demonstration to show they were glad the PLO is leaving. Other people on the east side say they are happy to see the PLO leave, but there were no celebrations today. People went about their normal business, paying no attention to the sound of gunfire on the other side. People here know they still face enormous problems after the PLO leaves. Their city must be rebuilt, their government strengthened, and they must find a way to get the thousands of foreign troops out of their country. Paul Miller, NBC News, East Beirut.
We will have more on the PLO evacuation of Beirut in a moment.
Who needs Dr. Scholl's air pillow insoles?
You do if you work with your feet.
I walk all day long. Without Dr. Scholl's air pillow insoles, I quit.
I hardly take a step, but I couldn't do this without my air pillow insoles.
Thin enough to slip comfortably into your shoes. And heavenly soft to cushion every step all day long. Who needs Dr. Scholl's air pillow insoles?
Just about anybody who hasn't got them.
This roomy, inexpensive Subaru station wagon not only goes far on a gallon of gas, it also goes almost anywhere on a gallon of gas, thanks to front-wheel drive. But if you want more traction than our wagon with front-wheel drive, we suggest our wagon with on-demand four-wheel drive. Subaru, inexpensive, and built to stay that way.
Paladin presents Martha Ray, comedienne, denture wearer.
Getting that big laugh takes something extra. And getting my denture sparkling clean takes something extra. Extra strength Paladin Green. Watch, tough lab stains. Now, extra strength Polident. It's fantastic. Gets tough stains clean, even in between. So take it from a big mouth. Extra strength Polident Green gets tough stains clean.
Israel's Foreign Minister Yitzhak Shamir reacted to the PLO withdrawal today by calling it a great accomplishment for Israel. And Defense Minister Ariel Sharon said the evacuation marked a great day in Israel's fight against terrorism. Martin Fletcher has a report from Tel Aviv on reaction of some citizens of Israel.
Israel did come to a halt today, but only because it's the Sabbath, the day of rest. And there was no sign on Tel Aviv's beaches of the drama 150 miles north in Beirut, and no celebrations. Much of the opposition to the war in Israel was based on the slim chances of getting the PLO out of Beirut without a major invasion, killing yet more civilians. But the PLO is leaving, and that's a major success for Prime Minister Begin and his Defense Minister Sharon. Nevertheless, an opinion poll this week shows 76% of Israelis do not believe the PLO leaving Beirut will end terrorism. Later, pictures on Israeli television of the PLO leaving Beirut did attract attention. Sales in this cafe stopped entirely for the news. One woman explained why Israelis are not elated.
I think it's a Pyrrhic victory. And I don't think there are any winners in this situation.
But many Israelis believe the war did accomplish a lot.
I think it just will be quieter and more peaceful for Israel for many years.
We need peace. We want peace.
But Israelis fear some PLO fighters will stay in Beirut secretly. That could lead to future problems. And they're aware of the many other problems in Lebanon. The Syrians must leave. The PLO in other parts of Lebanon must leave. All this before Israel will bring its army home. Martin Fletcher, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Other reaction. The Soviet Union, through TASS, its official news agency, said today the Palestinians have, quote, accomplished a heroic deed in their evacuation of West Beirut. Radio Moscow said the PLO left West Beirut for humanitarian reasons to save the lives of thousands of the city's inhabitants. And today, President Reagan left Phoenix, Arizona, confident that the Mideast plan was progressing smoothly. White House correspondent Judy Woodruff has this report.
Before the president came out of his mother-in-law's home in Phoenix this morning, National Security Assistant William Clark told reporters that everything is right on in Lebanon. Presidential spokesman Larry Speake said that cables from U.S. negotiator Habib indicated he was satisfied with the situation. Mr. Reagan showed just how pleased he was when he boarded Air Force One for the flight to California. In the air, Clark gave him a detailed briefing on developments in West Beirut. But the president had nothing to say on landing. Instead, he headed for the helicopter that took him to his mountaintop ranch near Santa Barbara for 2 weeks of what his aides say will be almost totally vacation time. Vacation or no vacation, National Security Assistant Clark will stay close by here to help Mr. Reagan monitor the PLO withdrawal on a daily basis. Administration officials have conceded that there is a risk involved for the 800 Marines being sent. And while public and congressional reaction up until now has been generally supportive, officials say they fully expect that to change if any Americans are hurt. We are holding our breath, as one of them put it. It's a very delicate situation. Judy Woodruff, NBC News, with the president near Santa Barbara.
At the State Department, there's this feeling now that it's a time to press for an overall solution to the problems in the Middle East. Secretary of State Schultz said yesterday he intends to seize the opportunity of the rubble of Beirut to forge a comprehensive peace plan. From the State Department tonight, Fred Francis has this report.
Mideast analysts at the State Department are optimistic that though the conflict in Lebanon is ongoing, the administration could add to what is being described here as a noteworthy list of diplomatic, political, and military gains. And while relations with Israel and the Arab states continue to be strained, the overall American prestige from this crisis is being evaluated here in a positive way. Foremost is the success of diplomacy embodied in the patience and stamina of Philip Habib. The message is that American diplomacy does work. A second gain for the administration is the decline of Soviet influence. Soviet client states such as Libya and Syria did little to help the PLO. Another yet undeveloped administration gain is the opportunity to move ahead on the West Bank problem. Israel no longer has the excuse that it must move slowly on autonomy because of the PLO threat on its northern border. One source said, "We have been telling the Saudis and the Egyptians for weeks now that the Israelis can be made to listen. Now we have to deliver." Well, delivering will not be easy. The evacuation of the PLO from Beirut is only stage one in this crisis. An Israeli advance against remaining Palestinians and Syrians could be stage two. Another possibility in the weeks ahead may be the radicalization of some elements of the PLO. In other words, a return to terrorist tactics. There are a number of other pitfalls which could spoil the administration's opportunity to put together a workable plan for peace in the Middle East. Fred Francis, NBC News, at the State Department.
The PLO and the Israelis leave behind them a Beirut devastated structurally and economically. So far, as of this day, only the United States has pledged money to rebuild. But the offer of $19 million has been dismissed as being far short of the billions needed. No offers from Arab countries either. We're on our own, said one Lebanese official today. You have heard of a Lebanese miracle, maybe? Just give us a little security and a little bit of time. Coming up, the PLO journey to Cyprus. That and more next.
We asked Eleanor Bailey if she thought her denture cleanser could clean away cherry stain.
I would imagine so.
What about a stain of cherry and tea?
I don't think so.
Or a triple stain of cherry, tea, and tobacco?
I would be very skeptical.
Then watch Extra Strength Efferdent go to work on a triple stain of cherry, tea, and tobacco with Efferdent's powerful Blue Action formula.
Efferdent clean the triple stain in between. I'm going home and use Efferdent.
Extra Strength Efferdent removes even stubborn stains between teeth.
Only a few copiers in the world can automatically make crisp, clear, readable copies from these originals. That includes the 3M plain paper copiers, because they're the only copiers with Sensitron, a remarkable 3M automatic exposure system that instantly fine-tunes itself so you'll get crisp, clear, readable copies time after time. It's a difference in quality you can see, because with Sensitron, what you see is what you get.
Open a bottle of Masson Light and you'll find one thing missing: the calories. Presenting the delicious taste of new Masson Light Rosé, a wine that's true to its proud heritage, but with a third fewer calories. Smooth and delicious, we've captured the grape's rich flavor, but left a third of its calories behind. Taste new Masson Light Rosé, or Light Chablis. Masson Light, a wine whose time has come. Paul Masson will sell no wine before its time.
The plan for dispersing thousands of PLO troops among 8 countries is a diplomatic coup, if only for its complexity. Tomorrow, PLO troops head for Iraq and Jordan. On Monday, the PLO troops to Tunisia. On Tuesday, Yemen and South Yemen. On Wednesday, Syria. And on September 2nd and 3rd, Algeria and the Sudan. Cyprus is a staging point for some of the PLO en route to their new homes. In Cyprus, preparations are underway, but as Stan Bernard reports, there are few precautions being taken.
If you came to Larnaca, Cyprus today, you never would have known the PLO was using this place as a stop on its historic retreat from Beirut. The dock they are most likely to tie up to was deserted. Tourists at this resort island have not stirred except to even out a tan. Everyone knows hundreds of PLO guerrillas are coming through here, but the preparations are minimal. Ambulance drivers at the hospital have been given no special instructions if some wounded are on the first boat, so they listen for news. And the small Larnaca hospital has its usual 15 vacant beds ready for any emergency. 10 minutes from the seaport, the airport, and no special preparations here except the expectation that there will be a request for landings and takeoffs by some unscheduled commercial planes from Arab countries. Security, normal. Airport officials underscored the fact that Cyprus was only being used as a transit point. They said the PLO contingent would be moved through this airport with absolutely no delays. Stan Bernard, NBC News at Larnaca Airport, Cyprus.
The PLO guerrillas are not strangers to 2 of the countries which have agreed to take them in. Both Syria and Jordan are familiar with the Palestinians. We have 2 reports, beginning with Keith Miller in Damascus, Syria.
In Damascus, the Palestinian guerrillas will be housed in temporary campsites, similar to those now used by Palestinian refugees. Nearly 3,000 men will travel overland in bus convoys, arriving here by the middle of next week. There are already 250,000 Palestinians living in refugee camps in Syria. Some of the fighters are expected to join their families now living here. The Syrian government is not talking about the arrival of the Palestinian guerrillas, but sources in the government say many will move to military bases under the supervision of the Syrian army. Abu Ali Mustafa, second in command of the Radical Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, says his guerrillas will continue to fight. He says they have lost a battle, but not the war. According to a PLO spokesman, Damascus will also be the home, at least for a few days, of PLO leader Yasser Arafat. Sources in the PLO say Arafat will proceed to Tunisia, where he will set up new headquarters. Keith Miller, NBC News, Damascus.
In and around Amman, Jordan, there are 12 Palestinian refugee camps. They're bricks, the same color as the surrounding sands. But there is a brightness of spirit, at least, in the camps today, because sons, brothers, and fathers will soon be home from Beirut. For Musa Ibrahim, it will be 2 nephews.
I am very eager, very eager to see them.
But 12 years ago, King Hussein was eager for the PLO to leave his country. His army forced the Palestinians out in a month now known as Black September. But this August, no one in the government is talking about that. The king has said that no returning member of the PLO will be allowed to have a gun here, but other than that, there will be no restrictions. The first evacuees are due to arrive in Amman tomorrow morning. So tomorrow afternoon, there may be 2 more men on Musa Ibrahim's porch. Eric Burns, NBC News, Amman.
NBC News will broadcast a special report tonight called "The PLO Leaves Beirut" at 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central Time. Next up, a Paris bombing, a Soviet space reunion, and the rest of the day's news when we return.
We're afraid to go out at night. The streets just aren't safe anymore. If the cars and trucks don't get us, the fleas and ticks will. But now, there's the Hart's 2-in-1 plus nighttime safety reflecting collar. The first flea and tick-killing collar that reflects oncoming car headlights. Nighttime safety plus it kills fleas and ticks round the clock for 5 months. The Hart's 2-in-1 plus reflecting collar. Now the famous Hart's flea and tick killer can be a lifesaver, too.
The Hilton's right across the street.
Let's meet back at the Hilton at 8.
Meet you at the Hilton at half. I'm over at the Hilton. Come over.
5 minutes to get to the Hilton.
I'm at the Hilton.
Let's walk over to the Hilton. I'll meet you later at the Hilton.
You know, the Hilton's got the best steak in town.
See you at the Hilton.
And you can reach me at the Hilton. Just call me at the Hilton, and we'll get down to your business right away.
When American business hits the road, American business stops at Hilton, America's business address.
Hi, I'm Paul Revere. I've been on the road all night, racing around, gulping coffee. I had chicken pot pie for dinner, sitting here like a rock. Dog ripped my pants. And you know, I still don't think half of them believe me. It's enough to give a patriot an upset stomach.
Upset stomach? Pepto-Bismol. It coats, soothes, relieves.
I guess I'm just not a night person.
In Paris today, French police said they believe a powerful bomb that exploded was meant for a U.S. diplomat. The bomb was planted under the car of Roderick Grant, a commercial counselor at the American embassy. When experts attempted to dismantle the bomb, it exploded, killing a bomb disposal expert and injuring one police officer. John Cochran has a report on all of this from Paris.
Terrorist attacks have been commonplace in Paris over the past month, but today is the first time this summer that police believe the intended victim was an American. A bomb inside a parcel exploded near the home of Roderick Grant, the commercial counselor at the American embassy. The bomb had been placed under the American's car, according to informed sources. But Grant drove off in his car before the explosion, not knowing the bomb was there. When the parcel finally was spotted, French police called in bomb disposal experts. While they were examining it, the bomb exploded, killing one policeman, critically wounding another. Both French and Lebanese terrorist groups have claimed responsibility. The police don't know who planted the bomb. The police do know they are under intense pressure from politicians and the public to crack down on all terrorists. John Cochran, NBC News, Paris.
Soviet cosmonaut Svetlana Savitska was welcomed aboard the Salyut 7 orbiting space station by two male cosmonauts today. The scene was aired on national television. Svetlana is the second Soviet female cosmonaut and the first in 19 years to join other cosmonauts in space. Coming up, a possible pension problem for former Braniff workers. That and more when we return.
Now more people take Unisom than any other sleep aid. Millions have discovered that Unisom works. They fall asleep faster. Only Unisom has doxylamine. And in medical tests, Unisom helped people feel drowsy. So they fell asleep faster, significantly faster than they did without Unisom. And slept better all night. For occasional sleeplessness, more people trust Unisom. Take Unisom and fall asleep faster.
Impossible, Miss Morrow. Cotton comfort and Trico smoothness in one bra?
Say the magic words, cross your heart. Ta-da! Playtex Cotton Trico Bra. Inside 100% cotton, so comfortable. Outside cling-free Trico. And it lifts and separates for a better figure.
It is magic.
My trick, your treat. Try Playtex Cross Your Heart Cotton Trico Bra.
Now save 20%.
20%? That's some sale.
What made Chevy Chevette the best-selling small car in America last year?
All the standard features: reclining front seats, AM radio, shift console, white striped tires, fold-down rear seat, and lots of other things.
Is it Chevette's great gas mileage? A big 30 EPA estimated miles per gallon, 42 estimated highway.
Could it be Chevette's low price? It's still one of the lowest priced Ford or hatchbacks sold in America, foreign or domestic.
During Chevy's factory-authorized clearance, special allowances to dealers make possible savings of hundreds of dollars.
Braniff Airways is seeking to terminate its pension plan covering 9,300 former employees. Braniff, which shut down operations in May, admitted its pension fund is nearly $1.5 million short of what employees are entitled to in benefits. Several weeks ago, Braniff confirmed that it had paid more than $4 million to its lawyers and its ad agency the day before it filed for protection from its creditors. AFL-CIO President Lane Kirkland today spoke out against President Reagan's tax program, and he did his speaking worldwide on a Voice of America broadcast. Kirkland said the administration's overall economic program has, quote, a perverse order of priorities that helps the rich instead of the needy. And while Kirkland and other Democrats criticized the $98 billion tax hike, saying it's too much, people at the White House are now assessing the battle to gain passage of the bill. White House correspondent Andrea Mitchell has this report.
Letter to
Lewis?
No, not yet. He didn't do a hell of a lot. He did some.
Political operative Lynn Nofziger can take off his shoes again. After helping out on the tax bill, he's out of the White House, but still thanking people for their votes. Conservatives like Richard Viguerie have talked to top Reagan aides about making up.
I expect that everybody will come together and pull hard to help elect the most number of conservatives in this November election.
The president's lobbyists said the conservatives will be back for the next fight to get more spending cuts.
I wouldn't be surprised some would come down here, and the president certainly has demonstrated that he can reach out and build a coalition in the House, but the fundamental coalition of Ronald Reagan's is one of Republicans and conservative Democrats.
The president may forgive, but when it comes time to campaign, Nofziger said he won't forget.
It's going to be difficult for the president personally to campaign for people who voted against him because you're so far down the road toward the election.
And Nofziger said the president doesn't owe Tip O'Neill anything.
I think Tip needed him as much as he needed Tip. Remember this is the first one that Tip has won also. So we kind of restored a little bit of Tip's leadership. I thought it's a two-way street. I don't think the president's beholden to Tip O'Neill.
The president plans to campaign against Tip O'Neill and the Democrats as big spenders anyway, despite their help on the tax bill. It may appear ungrateful, but that's politics. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News at the White House.
And finally tonight, a Milwaukee TV meteorologist got a jolt of lightning for ignoring some of his own advice. 38-year-old Joe Whitty was talking on the phone to his news director during an electrical storm last night when an electrical shock went through his right arm and down in his ear. Whitty says he's okay because it was not a direct hit of lightning. Otherwise, he said, quote, I probably wouldn't be around giving more advice about electrical storms. That's our report tonight. Bob Kerr will be here tomorrow. I'm Jessica Savage from New York. Thank you. And good night from all of us at NBC News.
Tomorrow on Meet the Press, Secretary of State George Shultz gives his first television interview. Meet the Press at a special time, 12 noon Eastern Daylight.
NBC reports the PLO leaves Beirut. What's next for the PLO? How long will peace last? When will U.S. involvement end? NBC reports tonight.
Coming up in just a minute on the scene at 6, a deep split continues to plague unity efforts for the GOP in Tennessee. Flood-ravaged communities in the state will know tomorrow whether or not they're eligible for federal disaster relief. And any attempts to operate a farm for downtown derelicts in Nashville will not work, according to the director of Nashville's Union Mission.
These stories and more news coming up on the scene at 6.
Tennessee State University's Weekend College is for anyone wanting classes Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Over 50 college courses available this fall. Register now at 320-3398.